Welcome back to our series on S.Lewis, Mere Christianity. Today, we'll be diving into Chapter 5 of Part 4, titled, The Obstinate Toy Soldiers. Did you know that C.S. Lewis was actually inspired to write this chapter by a set of toy soldiers he owned as a child? He noticed that no matter how hard he tried to make the soldiers move or act differently, they remained obstinate and unchanging. In this chapter, Lewis uses this metaphor to illustrate the dangers of our own stubbornness and resistance to change. So let's jump in and see what we can learn from these obstinate toy soldiers. The dangers of stubbornness. Lewis begins the chapter by pointing out that we often think of ourselves as being on the right side of things. We have our own opinions and ways of doing things, and we're convinced that they're the correct ones. However, as Lewis notes, this prideful obstinacy can be dangerous. Just like the toy soldiers that refuse to move, we can become stuck in our own ways, unwilling to change even when it's for our own good. Lewis warns that this can ultimately lead to our destruction, as we refuse to submit ourselves to God's will and instead cling to our own limited understanding. The call to change. But as Lewis reminds us, it's never too late to change. God is always calling us to transform and grow, to become the people He created us to be. And just like the toy soldiers that could be moved and rearranged by a greater power, we too can be transformed by submitting ourselves to God. We must be willing to let go of our own pride and stubbornness and allow God to work in our lives. Quotes and references. Pride gets no pleasure out of having something, only out of having more of it than the next man. p. 165. We must give up our silly idea of folding up our spiritual life, as if it were a picnic rug, and putting it away in a drawer. p. 168. The process will be long and in parts very painful, but that is what we are in for. Nothing less, page 171. Reflective Questions. Lewis writes that pride gets no pleasure out of having something, only out of having more of it than the next man. Do you agree with this statement? How can pride and envy hold us back from true transformation and growth? Lewis also writes that the process of transformation can be long and painful. Have you ever experienced this in your own life? How can we trust God even in the midst of difficult and painful transformations? Thanks for joining us for this discussion on Chapter 5 of Mere Christianity. As we've seen, the metaphor of the obstinate toy soldiers is a powerful reminder of the dangers of stubbornness and pride. But it's also a call to trust in God's transformative power and to be willing to let go of our own limited understanding. So let's take this lesson to heart and be open to the changes and growth that God has in store for us. Now that we've explored the ideas in Chapter 5 of Mere Christianity about the obstinate toy soldiers, let's reflect on two questions that may help us apply these concepts to our own lives. Question 1. What are some of the toy soldiers in my life that I stubbornly hold onto, even though they may not be serving me well? This is an important question to ask ourselves because we all have things in our lives that we hold onto out of habit or comfort, even if they are not serving us well. It could be a bad habit, a toxic relationship, or even just a negative attitude. The key is to identify these toy soldiers and be willing to let them go in order to make room for positive change and growth. Question 2. How can I cultivate a willingness to be shaped and transformed by God? As Lewis reminds us in this chapter, we need to be open to transformation and change if we want to truly grow and become the people God intended us to be. But this can be difficult, especially if we are set in our ways or resistant to change. One way to cultivate a willingness to be shaped by God is to spend time in prayer and reflection, asking for guidance and wisdom. We can also seek out community with others who share our faith and can support us in our journey of transformation. So there you have it, two reflective questions to ponder as we continue to explore the ideas in Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. I hope this video has been informative, inspiring, and thought-provoking. As always, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. And now, let me leave you with a few other quotes from Chapter 5. God cannot give us a happiness and peace apart from Himself, because it is not there. There is no such thing. p. 182. God is the only comfort. He is also the supreme terror. The thing we most need and the thing we most want to hide from. p. 183. And if you found this video helpful, please share it with your friends and leave a like and a comment below.